story begins with Franz being late for school one morning. He is scared because he thinks his teacher, M. Hamel, will scold him. He is even more nervous because M. Hamel said that he would question the class on participles, and Franz did not know anything about them. For a moment, Franz considers not going to school at all and spending the day outside. It is such a bright, warm day, and the birds are chirping at the edge of the woods. The Prussian soldiers are practicing drills in the open field behind the sawmill. Franz feels tempted to stay outside and enjoy the day instead of learning grammar, but he decides to be responsible and heads to school. On his way, Franz passes the town hall, where there is a crowd gathered in front of the bulletin board. For the past 2 years, all of the bad news, like lost battles and drafts, has been posted on that board. Franz wonders what new thing has happened, but doesn't stop to check. As he hurries past, the blacksmith, Wachter, and his apprentice are reading the bulletin. Wachter calls out to Franz and tells him, "Don't rush. You have plenty of time to get to school." Franz thinks Wachter is teasing him and continues running until he reaches M. Hamel's little garden, feeling out of breath. Usually when school starts, there is a lot of noise. The opening and closing of desks, students repeating lessons loudly with their hands over their ears to hear themselves better, and M. Hamel tapping his big ruler on the table. These sounds can usually be heard out on the street. But today, everything is quiet. Franz had planned to sneak to his desk without being noticed because of the usual noise, but today it was as quiet as a Sunday morning. When he looks through the window, he sees that all his classmates are already seated. M. Hamel is walking back and forth with his big iron ruler under his arm. Franz has to open the door and walk into the classroom in front of everyone. He feels very embarrassed and afraid, but nothing happens. M. Hamel sees Franz and says kindly, "Go to your seat quickly, little Franz. We were about to start without you." Franz jumps over the bench and sits down at his desk. After calming down a little, Franz notices that M. Hamel is wearing his best clothes, his green coat, his frilled shirt, and his embroidered black silk cap. These were the clothes he only wore on special days, like inspection or prize ceremonies. The whole classroom seems strange and serious. The thing that surprises Franz the most is that the village people are sitting quietly in the back of the classroom, on the benches that are usually empty. Old Hauser is there with his three-cornered hat, along with the former mayor, the former postmaster, and several others. They all look very sad. Hauser is holding an old primer on his knees, and his large glasses are placed on top of the pages. While Franz is wondering why everything is so different, M. Hamel climbs up on his chair, and with a gentle but serious voice he says, "My children, this is the last lesson I will give you. The order has come from Berlin that only German will be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. A new teacher will arrive tomorrow, and this is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive." These words shock Franz like a thunderbolt. Now he understands what was posted on the bulletin board at the town hall. Franz realizes this is his last French lesson, and he hardly knows how to write. He thinks he will never learn again. He feels very sad that he wasted his time not learning his lessons, instead going to find birds' eggs or sliding on the Saar River. The books that he once thought were a nuisance, like his grammar book and his history book, now seem like old friends he does not want to give up. He also feels sad about M. Hamel leaving. Franz always thought of M. Hamel as being strict and cranky, but now he feels sorry that he will never see him again. Franz realizes that M. Hamel is wearing his best clothes because this is his last day teaching. He also now understands why the village people are sitting in the classroom. They are sad too. They had not gone to school much themselves when they were younger, and they are there to thank M. Hamel for his 40 years of service. They are also there to show respect for their country, which they will no longer control. While Franz is thinking about all this, he hears his name called. It is his turn to recite. Franz wishes he could recite the rule for participles loudly and clearly, without making a single mistake. However, he gets confused after the first few words and stands there, clutching his desk, too nervous to look up. M. Hamel says to him, "I won't scold you, little Franz. You already feel bad enough. This is how it goes. Every day we say, 'I have plenty of time. I'll learn tomorrow.' But now you can see where that kind of thinking has led us." M. Hamel explains that this is the problem with the people of Alsace. They put off learning, thinking they can do it later, and now the Prussians will be able to say, You claim to be French, but you don't even know how to speak or write your own language. M. Hamel tells Franz that it's not entirely his fault. His parents were also not eager for him to learn. They preferred to send him to work on a farm or at a mill to earn a little extra money. M. Hamel acknowledges that he, too, is partly responsible. At times, he would send the students to water his flowers instead of teaching them, and when he wanted to go fishing, he simply dismissed the class for the day. After this, M. Hamel talks about the French language. He says that it is the most beautiful language in the world, clear, logical, and something that they must always cherish. He says that when people are conquered, as long as they hold on to their language, it is like they have the key to their freedom. Then M. Hamel opens the grammar book and begins the lesson. Franz is amazed at how well he understands everything. It all seems so easy now. He also realizes that he has never listened so carefully and that M. Hamel has never been so patient in explaining the lesson. It seems as if M. Hamel wants to teach them everything he knows before leaving, and he wants them to remember it all. After the grammar lesson, they have a writing lesson. M. Hamel gives them new writing examples, written in a beautiful round style. The words are France, Alsace, France, Alsace. These words look like little flags, hanging everywhere in the classroom on the rods at the tops of their desks. Everyone gets to work and the classroom is completely quiet, except for the sound of pens scratching on paper. Even when a few beetles fly into the room, but no one pays any attention, not even the youngest students. From time to time, Franz looks up from his writing and sees M. Hamel sitting very still, gazing at different things in the classroom as if he wants to remember everything about the room. Franz realizes that M. Hamel has been teaching in this same room for 40 years. The trees outside the window have grown taller, and the hop vine which he has planted is now climbing to the roof. It must be very sad for M. Hamel to leave all of this behind. Franz imagines how heartbroken M. Hamel must feel, knowing that his sisters upstairs are packing their bags because they have to leave the country the next day. Despite his sadness, M. Hamel continues with the lessons until the very end. After the writing lesson, they have a history lesson. The youngest children chant their letters, ba, bi, bo, bo. At the back of the room, old Hauser has put on his glasses and is holding his primer in both hands, spelling out the letters with the children. His voice trembles with emotion, and Franz can see that Hauser is crying. It is funny and sad at the same time, and everyone feels like laughing and crying together. Franz knows he will never forget this last lesson. Suddenly, the church clock strikes 12, followed by the sound of the Angelus bell. At the same moment, the trumpets of the Prussian soldiers returning from their drills sound beneath the classroom windows. M. Hamel stands up, looking very pale. Franz has never seen him look so tall. M. Hamel tries to speak, but something chokes him, and he cannot continue. Instead, he turns to the blackboard, picks up a piece of chalk, and writes as large as he can, "Vive la France." Then, without saying another word, he leans his head against the wall, makes a gesture with his hand, and dismisses the class. The school day is over, and everyone is free to go.